Story this hour, a spotlight on the midterms. We're just 5 days away from the midterm elections. President Trump is hitting the campaign trail in a last-minute blitz before voters head to the polls next week. He heads to Missouri today. Last night, he was in Fort Myers, Florida, touting the booming U.S. economy to turn out Republican voters.
Just look at the amazing things that we have all done working together. The unemployment rate just fell to the lowest level in over 50 years. More Americans are working today than at any point in the history of our country. Think of that. Hispanic American and African American poverty have reached all-time lows, right? African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have all achieved their lowest levels in recorded history. We've eliminated a record number of job-killing regulations, more than any other administration, no matter how long it went. We did that quickly. We passed a massive tax cut, biggest tax cut for working families, and we will soon follow it up with another 10% tax cut for the middle class. Under Republican leadership, America is booming, America is thriving, and America is winning because we are finally putting America first.
Joining us right now is Fox News contributor, former senior advisor to President George W. Bush, Karl Rove. Karl, good to see you. Thank you so much for weighing in here.
Morning.
So the U.S. has seen solid economic growth under the president. We know that. 4.2% in the second quarter, 3.5% in the third quarter. Do you think that's going to drive voters? Will that sway voters?
Well, it will help with a large number of voters, but we need to be talking about it more. And it's not just the economic growth. It's not just the business confidence and consumer confidence. There was a very good piece in the Wall Street Journal yesterday by a brilliant writer named Freeman pointing out that wages are up 3.1% over the last year. And look, it's what people feel in their pockets. It's what they think about their circumstances. It's how they feel about the company that they work for and its prospects, and how they feel about their future prospects. It matters. And wherever the administration has or candidates have pushed that issue, it's been helpful. I just wish we'd been doing it more often in a consistent fashion and pointing to the next set of things that need to be done to keep the prosperity growing and spreading broader.
It doesn't make any sense, Karl, that the voters are not feeling that, to me. There was that RNC internal poll that they did, that voters were evenly divided about the benefits and the benefits of the tax cut. Like, it was half and half saw benefits versus not caring or negatives. To that point, why didn't they push that more, Karl? Or is it just a sense of, hey, I feel really financially secure, I'm going to move on to something I'm worried about, like health care?
Yeah. Well, you touched on an important point. When the economy is good, ironically enough, people tend to dismiss it as an important issue. The economy was pretty darn good in 2006, but it didn't really matter that much in the midterms because people were concerned about other issues, the Iraq War, and then a series of scandals in the House Republicans. But if you want to make something an issue, you got to make something an issue. You got to focus on it. You got to talk about it. You got to find ways to personalize it to show workers and companies that are doing better. And there's been episodic attempts at that by the administration, but there's not been a consistent, focus and particularly on the future. You can't just simply say, vote for us, look at the great job we've done. You've got to say, vote for us, look at the great job we've done, and here are the next things we need to do. And here's how the other side is going to take away the progress that we've got.
Now the president is doing it.
They've done that latter point.
Now the president's doing it. But before this, you're right, it was very sort of scattered. But to come back to your point about James's column, James.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's talk about me. The column in terms of wages, why aren't we seeing people talk more about that? I mean, is it the messaging? Is it the fact that people don't realize that their wages are up 3% year over year?
Well, it's funny. You've seen a lot of polls where people seem to be unaware that they got a tax cut, even though almost all taxpayers got one. But they do seem to give the president and Republicans, Karl, and by the way, you're wonderful. Thank you. They do seem to give the president and the Republicans credit for a good economy, even if they say their taxes weren't cut or they don't realize their taxes were cut. How big is that going to be?
Well, that's very helpful. As you point out, the president's job approval on the economy is higher than his overall job approval. It's one of his strengths, which is why they ought to be playing to it more. But, look, elections are never simple, and it's always easy to say we ought to do more of this and less of that. But the economy is a big strength for the Republicans this year. They're going to win races they would have otherwise lost because of it. I just think they could have done better at messaging consistently throughout the year on this.
Definitely.
And particularly pointing out that the other side is against this, where we've got these contrasts of member, like in Arizona, where we got one member who voted for the tax cut and one who did not. Then we're in a better place. And ironically enough, I think a lot more people are going to realize the tax cut was good for them next April when they go to file their tax returns and find out they got a big refund coming.
Right, but the midterms are in 5 days.
Too late.
Yeah, it's too late. We want to get to Nevada, North Dakota, and Arizona with you. So let's take a look at some of the economic data in some of the states with the most influential races. We zero in today on Nevada, Arizona, and North Dakota. We kick it off with Nevada. Democratic Congressman and Senator Dean Heller. Take a look at the leading industry, tourism and hospitality, major contributors to the Nevada economy. First quarter GDP was 1.5%. September unemployment rate, 4.5%. Liz, your thoughts on this? Hillary Clinton won Nevada in 2016.
I want to hear Karl's thoughts on this. What's that looking like to you?
Well, I think it's going to be very close, but I think Dean Heller has a good chance to hold on to this seat, in part because context matters. Yeah, their unemployment rate is higher than the national average, but remember, this state has gone in a very brief period of time from being #1 in foreclosures and with a very high unemployment rate to being a dynamic, growing economy again with people feeling much better about themselves. I think that's going to help Heller, who's also been, very active in veterans activities, veterans affairs issues, and is on the powerful Senate Finance Committee and helped fashion the tax cut.
My concern about Nevada a little bit is that with the hospitality industry being so large, you have a lot of people earning close to minimum wage, I would guess. And I would think the Democrats' messaging on how, all this tax cut and wealth that's gone to corporation stuff has not flowed to people like that. Is that a powerful argument in that state?
No, they're in unions. They make more than the minimum wage.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
They're very, in fact, it's just the opposite. They're very well paid. They were very upset with Obamacare because Obamacare basically gutted some very lavish health care programs. So it's a weird dynamic state in that regard. And the question is, how strong do the culinary unions, which are powerful in Las Vegas, how strongly do they feel about Jackie Rosen, or how comfortable are they with Dean Heller, and that the amount of activity they put forward here between now and the end is important. Errors in Nevada in the early voting, which is very large, it's nearly presidential levels. There's between the Democrats doing worse and the Republicans doing better, there's a 3-point swing towards the Republicans in a state that the Democrats won in the presidential race by about just less than 2.5.
We want to quickly get your take on Arizona and North Dakota. We've got a minute left here. Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally going head-to-head with Democratic Congresswoman Kirsten Sinema, the two competing to fill retiring Republican Senator Jeff Flake's seat. Healthcare services, the state's leading industry there. Arizona, real quick.
Right. The key here is going to be the state has trended Republican in the early vote. It's 5.4% swing to the Republicans in a state they already won. The question is moderate Republicans, soft Republicans in the suburbs of Phoenix. Are they going to vote for Martha McSally or send a protest vote?
North Dakota, Democratic Senator Heidi Heitkamp taking on her Republican challenger, Congressman Kevin Kramer. The economy contracted in the first quarter. GDP rate for the first quarter negative 0.6%. September unemployment, North Dakota, 2.7%. What's your take, North Dakota?
Second largest energy producer in America. They love what Trump has done on energy. They're concerned that it's huge soybeans, virtually all of it to foreign markets. They're concerned about trade policy there. But this race is over. Double-digit lead for Kevin Kramer. This is going to be the first Republican edition on election night. Now, before we go, I got to tell you, I am a teetotaler, so I want to ask you why you started the program with Liz talking about bourbon and whiskey, Freeman believing that he had to somehow say that he wasn't the drunken guy who threw through the beer can. And then Dagan, well, we don't need to say more about Dagan and alcohol, but Maria, am I the token teetotaler on this program this morning?
No, you're not, Carl. We're just, our minds are where they are this morning.
How could we get up this early if we were drinking too heavily?
Hey, Carl, ixnay on the alcohol, because my family tings that I'm a teetotaler.
Carl, we'll see you soon. Thank you, sir. Karl Rove. We'll be right back.